Hello, welcome to Subjective Insights. I'm going to do a biblical video today. I'm going to do it on the second coming of Christ. The way I'm going to do it, I'm just going to read through the chapters where I show, where I think the Bible explicitly states that Jesus came within the lifetime of the people that heard him speak, if he was real. I'll put a couple of caveats here, right? If you're trying to interpret the Bible literally, and you believe it is what it claims it is, or what the Orthodox or mainstream Christianity claims it is, then there's no way around this. There is no second coming yet to wait for. If it happened, it already happened. There's another way of interpreting Scripture, which is to see that the kind of, it's a template for how the Illuminati or certain elites are running the world and what they bring about. That way, that's not what I'm doing here. I'm playing the game. I'm assuming that the Bible is a record of true events and that Jesus was being honest. I'm taking it at its face value, essentially, here. I don't actually believe that. I don't know whether or not it is true. But we'll play the game where, you assume it is an accurate record, and then you just apply basic interpretation strategies, or what's called hermeneutics. And it's the same, interpretation is the same when applied to the Bible as it is to any other book or any other speech. Who's speaking? What are they saying? Who are they speaking to? And when are they saying it? That then gives you the context. Okay, I'm going to have to find the passage now, because it's in Matthew that I'm going to be going from, and it's going to start off in quite one of my favourite bits where Jesus is having a proper rant at the priests in the temple. Yeah, so here it is. I'll try and be dramatic in my reading of it. So yeah, with muscles. Woo. Anyway. Then Jesus speaks to the throngs and to his disciples, saying, oh, and I'm using the concordant literal translation. I just prefer it. I think I've spoken about it in another video. Then Jesus speaks to the throngs and to his disciples, saying, on Moses' seat are seated the scribes and the Pharisees. All, then, whatever they should be saying to you, do and keep it. Yet, according to their acts, do not be doing, for they are saying and not doing. Now they are binding loads heavy and hard to bear, and are placing them on men's shoulders, yet they are not willing to stir them with their finger. Now, all their works they are doing to be gazed at by men, for they are broadening their amulets and magnifying the tassels. Now they are fond of the first reclining place at the dinners, and the front seats in the synagogues, and the salutations in the markets, and to be called by men Rabbi. And you've got to bear in mind here, right, Jesus is saying all of this within the temple. And it's tantamount to us going to Westminster, you know, where all the politicians are, because Israel was a theocracy. So the governing body was religious. It was the Pharisees and the Sadducees, which were sects within the Jewish world at that time that had differing interpretations of the Torah and the prophetic works of the Old Testament. And so he's being quite radical. This is one thing that not a lot of people get about Jesus as represented in the Bible, that he was bloody radical and he is fearless. Now, you may not be called Rabbi, for one is your teacher, yet you all are brethren. And Father you should not be calling one of you on the earth, for one is your Father, the heavenly. Nor yet may you be called preceptors, for one is your preceptor, the Christ. Now then, a lot of Christians on that issue there, they just say, oh, you can't call people Rabbi or Father, but you can have priests. What Jesus is attacking here is a fundamental hierarchical structure of the theocratic system of the day. And the funny thing here is, no matter what church you go to, this hierarchical structure is recreated. It's as if they don't listen to what Jesus says. He was destroying any ground upon which a man can have authority over another. I mean, he wasn't destroying the physical ground. Like, if you're stronger than somebody, if you've got a gun, you can get them to do what you want. But he was saying, look, you can't legitimate any hierarchical structure through reference to God. You just can't do it, mate. Sorry, that's what he's saying. Now, the greatest one among you shall be your servant. Yet anyone who shall be exalting himself shall be humbled, and anyone who shall be humbling himself shall be exalted. Now woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites. They were right there. If this is true, they were hearing him saying all of this. For you are locking the kingdom of the heavens in front of men. For you are not entering, neither are you letting those entering to enter. This indicates that the kingdom of heaven was accessible throughout all that time. I believe the kingdom of heaven is just a kind of a mental switch where you realise that nobody's in charge and I can do what the fuck I want. You know, the only thing that stops people doing what they want is other people, which is kind of what Jesus means when he says, "You are all small gods," or he quotes from the Old Testament for that. But anyway, woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites! For you are going about the sea and the dry land to make one proselyte, and whenever he may be becoming one, you are making him more than double a son of Gehenna than you are. And now that Jesus, in the modern idiom, he's basically saying you're making these sons of trash or sons of shit, because Gehenna was where the Jews in Jerusalem would put all their rubbish. And so when he says they're making him twice a son of Gehenna as you are, he's saying you're making them more trashy than you. It's another way of saying, like, our word naughty comes from the word for naught, as in zero, meaning nothing. You amount to nothing. So that's essentially what that idiom means. Woe to you, blind guides, who are saying, whoever should be swearing by the temple, it is nothing. Yet whoever should be swearing by the gold of the temple is owing. Stupid and blind, for which is greater, the gold or the temple that hallows the gold? And whoever should be swearing by the altar, it is nothing. Yet whoever should be swearing by the approach present upon it is owing. Stupid and blind, for which is greater, the approach present or the altar that is hallowing the approach present? Now then here, right, a good interpretation of this, given I can't find the other places in the Bible where it talks about this, but Paul says that we are God's temple. And then, so he's saying we are that which hallows these items like money and gold and jewels and the offerings. And in modern idiom, or in kind of the sociological speak, man constructs a value, right? It's man imparts value to stuff. Money, gold, anything you want, it doesn't have value in and of itself. So people, this is kind of presaging Marx's doctrine of fetishization, where we fetishize these objects and we forget what gives them the power, and we forget what we use these objects for, and then we start taking these objects which are really a means to an end and make them an end in themselves. He then who swears by the altar is swearing by it and by all which is upon it, and he who swears by the temple is swearing by it and by him who is dwelling in it, and he who swears by heaven is swearing by the throne of God and by him who is sitting upon it. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites! For you are taking tithes from the mint and the dill and the cumin, and leaving the weightier matters of the law, judging and mercy and faith. Now these it was binding for you to do, and not leave those. Blind guides, straining out a gnat, yet swallowing a camel, a human kind of tendency to fixate on little minutiae and forget about everything else. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites! For you are cleansing the outside of the cup and the plate, yet inside they are brimming with rapacity and incontinence. Blind Pharisees, cleanse first the inside of the cup and the plate, that the outside also may be becoming clean. I mean, if any of you have experience with actual Christians, you'll realise they're all like this. They have this front, I'm all so pure and that, but behind closed doors they're vicious, disciplinary little bastards. To be fair, they're wankers. Anyway, Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you are resembling the whitewashed sepulchres, which outside indeed are appearing beautiful, yet inside they are crammed with the bones of the dead and all uncleanliness. Thus you also outside indeed are appearing to men to be just, yet inside you are distended with hypocrisy and lawlessness. I mean, here we go, he's basically saying, yeah, you look pretty, but you're a fucking cunt, aren't you? That's what you are, really. You look nice on the outside, yeah, you got all the robes and the finery, and you speak all the right words, but you're a white fucking twat. And Jesus, in his modern terms, he was using he wasn't blaspheming, because that's taking the Lord's name in vain. So blaspheming isn't saying fuck, cunt, shit, or wanker. Blaspheming is saying, for God's sake, that kind of thing, mate. Yeah, it is that kind of thing. And I mean, essentially, he's insulting the fuck out of the elites within the Israeli hierarchy. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you are building the sepulchres of the prophets and adorning the tombs of the just. And you are saying, if we were in the days of our fathers, we would not be participants with them in the blood of the prophets. So that you are testifying to yourselves that you are the sons of those who murder the prophets, and you fill full the measure of your fathers. Now, when we come to what the second coming is, it was a coming of judgment against the Israelite nation, against the Israelite people, against these fuckers, the Pharisees and fucking Sadducees, or the scribes, as it says here. That's what it was, and he's saying you're filling up the measure of it. Yeah, that's who he's talking. He's saying on you, on your head. Well, later on he does. I'll talk about it then. Serpents, progeny of vipers, how may you be fleeing from the judging of Gehenna? That's the second coming, the parousia. Therefore, lo, I am dispatching to you prophets and wise men and scribes. This is in the Acts of the Apostles. That's all like Stephen and all that, getting stoned. That's what he's talking about here. I mean, he's also talking about all the ones that have gone before as well, but he's also referencing the ones that are to come, to allow these people living in this generation that he's speaking within at this time in 30 AD or 33 AD, whenever it is, to fill full the measure of your fathers. Yeah? So dispatching to you prophets and wise men and scribes. Of them, some you will be killing and crucifying, and of them, some you will be scourging in your synagogues and persecuting from city to city, so that on you should be coming all the just blood shed on the earth, from the blood of just Abel, all the way in Genesis, until the blood of Zechariah, son of Berechiah, whom you murder between the temple and the altar. Verily, truly, honestly, I mean, really, listen to this. I'm actually saying this. Honestly, on you, I am saying to you, the people I've been speaking to right here, sat in the temple in 30 AD, on you, all these things will be arriving on this generation. Now then, the only refutation to say that that's not going to happen within that generation I've heard is that Jesus meant, he meant the words that he was speaking. I mean, does that sound in line with his character? To offer this warning, to say to these people, look, you're going to get fucked because of what you've done. But really, he didn't mean that. He meant on this generation. I mean, it's in the next chapter that they say that, actually. Anyway. Jerusalem, Jerusalem, who art killing the prophets and pelting with stones those who have been dispatched to her. How many times do I want to assemble your children in the manner a hen is assembling her brood under her wings, and you will not? Lo, left is your house to you desolate. For I am saying to you, you may by no means be perceiving me henceforth, till you should be saying, blessed is he who is coming in the name of the Lord. Now I'll do the next chapter in another video. Goodbye. Muscles. Let's get the light on them muscles. Goodbye.